ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। We were discussing the Adhyasa Bhashya of Shankaracharya in his introduction to his commentary on the Brahma Sutras. So last time we saw how there is another objection from the Purva Paksha or the opponent regarding the Adhyasa, superimposition. This time the objection is, it is understood that when you say that an object is mistaken for another object, the attributes of one object is mistaken for the attributes of another object. That we can understand. But how can you say that Atman, the indwelling self, how can you consider it to be an object? Katham punah pratyagatmani avishaye adhyaso vishayat tad dharmanam. And also, how can you say सर्वो हि पुरो अवस्थिते विषये विषयांतरम अध्यस्यति युष्मत् प्रत्यय अपेतस्य च प्रत्यगात्मना अविषयत्वं ब्रवीषि. You are saying that the self is a non-object, that self is not an object, because you said yushmat, so self is not an object. And if that is the case, then how can you say that there is a superimposition on self or Atman? Because superimposition takes place only on things which are in front of us. Puro avastite, purah avastite, in front of us. That which is situated or exists in front of us, only on that we find a superimposition happening. That means if I see something, I can mistake it to be something else. So that has to be through a sensory perception, through the perception of sense organs. My eyes see, my ears hear, etc. But here, indwelling self or pratyek Atman is not perceived like that through senses. That is the objection. And so Shankaracharya explains it in his reply. What does he say? He says, Uchyate. It is being told. We are now replying. We are now replying to your objection. Na tavad ayam ekantena avishayah. Na tavad ayam ekantena avishayah. That means it is not that it is completely, absolutely not object. We are talking about the self, Pratyagatman. So here Shankaracharya says that it is not that the indwelling self is not at all an object, or in no situation it is an object. Like that we cannot say. It is not absolutely non-object. Ekantena avishaya. Avishaya means non-object. Ekantena, absolutely. It is not always the case. Why? Why is he saying like that? That means there are situations where you consider self to be an object. When is that situation? Asmat pratyaya vishayatvat aparokshatvat cha pratyagatma prasiddhehe. You see, asmat pratyaya vishayatvat, because this pratyagatman becomes the subject of what? Of the notion of I, asmat. It becomes the object of the notion of I, Vishaya. It becomes the object of the notion of I. That means when I say I go, actually what is going? Is my body going or myself going? It is my body going. But I am referring not to the body alone. I am mixing it with the self. So self is also perceived, though in ignorance, self is also perceived as an object. I slept well. I had deep sleep. At that time, there was no mind. But when we get up, we say, I had wonderful sleep. I slept nicely. So even there, I confuse myself with an object. That means this I notion is being ascribed to what? To the self. This I notion is being given to the self. And also aparokshatvat. So you see, all other things you see through a sensory perception, through a sense organ. But I, how do you feel? You don't feel it through sense organ. So there is something called paroksha jnana. There is something called aparoksha jnana. Paroksha jnana means what? Paroksha jnana means that which is through the medium of something. Para aksha. Para means external. Aksha means eyes, etc. So external sense organs. Paroksha jnana. Aparoksha jnana means that which is not through any medium. It is an immediate perception without any medium. Immediate. So paroksha is mediate. Aparoksha is immediate. So here what is happening? Here I am seeing I am feeling I, and that is not through any sense organs, but it is immediate perception. Though it is immediate perception, still it is the object of that perception. You see, when I say I, what is this I referring to? This I is referring to the self. So though it is not seen through a sense organ, though it is not seen through a medium, but even though it is immediate perception, even then I am seeing it. I am experiencing it. I am experiencing it immediately. I am feeling happy. I am feeling sad. All these things I am experiencing it. So here one may say, oh, mind is another sense organ. Through mind you are experiencing. Yes, but you are experiencing it. You are experiencing it. And so pratyagatma prasiddhehe, and also it is prasiddha, it is established as a fact. Pratyagatma, the indwelling self or inner self. Pratyak atma, pratyak means indwelling or inner, atma self. It is established, it is a known fact that the self is there. It's a known fact. So, and we all use it in different ways. We use it. So, because it is established fact, and also because it is immediate in perception, and because it is the object of the notion of I, so that is why we cannot always say that it is not an object. We cannot always say that it is not an object. And न च अयम् अस्ति नियमः पुरो अवस्थित एव विषये विषयान्तरम् अध्यसितव्यम् इति. Another thing the objector said was, you see, only in the case of a thing which you see in front of you can there be a superimposition. So if I see tennis ball, I can superimpose Rasgulla on it. But here Shankaracharya says, no, not necessary. Nacha ayam asti niyamah. There is no hard and fast rule like that. No niyamah. There is no rule like that. Nacha ayam asti niyamah. There is no rule like that, or it is not necessary. It is not necessary. The literal translation will be, there is no rule like that. Nacha ayam asti niyamah. Means there is no law, or niyama means law or rule. But the idiomatic translation will be, it is not necessary that puraha avastita eva vishaye vishayantaram adhyasitavyam. That superimposition should take place only in respect of thing which is kept in front of you, or an object which is in front of you. It is not necessary that superimposition should take place only in that case. Why? Because we see things which are superimposed though they are not perceivable. So the idea is, unless I see something, unless I perceive something, how can superimposition take place? Unless I perceive something, how can superimposition take place? Okay, that is the idea. That is the objection. But Shankaracharya says, no, no, no. It is not necessary that there should be something which is perceptible or which is perceived for superimposition to take place. Even without that, there could be superimposition. How could that be? He says, he gives the example. Apratyakshe api hi akashe balaha talamalinatadi adhyasyanti. You see, even though the sky or space is not perceptible. Space is not perceptible. Means you cannot say that I saw space in front of me, or you cannot say that I saw space also. You see, you cannot say that. You cannot see space. How can you see space? You cannot see space. So, and also you cannot say that I saw space in front of me, just like you see a tennis ball in front of you. It's not an object. But balaha means people who do not possess wisdom, the credulous, or people who do not have enough wisdom, balaha. So balaha, people who are not wise, talamalinatadi, because of surface and because of impurities. Malina means impurities, tala means surface. So surface means different types of atmosphere is there. Because of that, and because of impurities. So surface also, you see something and then you say I saw space. You are not seeing space, you are seeing the surface. You cannot see space, so you are seeing surface. So because of surface and because of impurities, what do we see? We see blue color. We see blue color and we say that is sky. In space we see sky. But how can you see sky? So here Shankaracharya is giving this example to prove that even though there is no object in front of you, even then you have superimposed. Even then you have superimposed by not understanding, by not having the proper knowledge. So though you thought that you are seeing the sky, you are not seeing the sky. Actually it is space which is with impurities or in reference to some surface, with reference to some surface or with impurities. And so what do you say? You say that I saw Neela Gagana, or I saw blue sky. So evam aviruddha pratyagatmani api anatma adhyasa. So like that, aviruddha, that means it is not illogical. What is not illogical? The superimposition, adhyasa, of anatma on pratyagatma. The superimposition of the not self on self is also not illogical. It is also not illogical. That is also possible. That is also possible. This is what Shankaracharya says. Now, then later he says that this adhyasa itself is what is called as avidya. So you may have a question, what is this avidya? Is it different from adhyasa? Why it is suddenly called avidya, etc.? So Shankaracharya says, tam etam evam lakshanam adhyasam panditaha avidya iti manyante tad vivekena cha vastu swarupa avadharanam vidyam ahuhu. Very simple Sanskrit Shankaracharya uses. He says, tam etam evam lakshanam. Tam etam, this thing, this whatever I have now explained till now, having this particular attribute, having this lakshana. Lakshana means these features, having this character or these features. Adhyasam panditaha avidya iti manyante. Panditaha, people who are learned, people who know, who are wise, they avidya iti manyante. They, this adhyasa, they call it to be avidya. They call it to be avidya. So this adhyasa only, they call it avidya. Okay, this is what is told. Tad vivekena cha vastu swarupa avadharanam vidya mahuhu. Tad vivekena. And if somebody discerns or discriminates from that, tad viveka, from that if somebody discriminates, whatever discrimination one does, separates, cha vastu swarupa avadharanam, and understands, avadharanam determines the swarupa, true nature of vastu, of a particular thing on which superimposition has happened. So the moment you understand this is not Rasgulla, this is tennis ball, that is called vidyam ahuhu, that is called knowledge. So when somebody does discrimination from avidya or adhyasa and understands the true nature of that particular thing, that is called knowledge. That is called knowledge. So very simple he has explained here, and that this is what I have explained now, that is what is avidya, and that itself is now called also, when you can understand what is the thing behind that by discrimination, that is called vidya. That is called vidya. Then Shankaracharya says, Tatraivam sati yatra yad adhyasah tat kritena doshena gunena va anumatrena api sana sambadhyate tametam avidyakyam atma anatmanoho iteretara adhyasam puraskritya sarve pramana prameya vyavaharaha laukikaha vaidikascha pravrittaha sarvani cha shastrani vidhi pratisheda moksha parani. So this we will see in the next class. Okay, this we will see in the next class because it involves a lot of discussion. So we will see it in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.